Welcome to today's explainer. We're diving straight into a totally unpredictable, high-stakes situation that's unfolding right now during Nepal's 2026 monsoon season. If you think you know how monsoon seasons usually work, well, the data coming out right now is absolutely going to surprise you. We're dealing with extreme unpredictability, a ticking clock, and a desperate need for immediate disaster management. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what the authorities are seeing on the ground, what the data is really telling us, and why the choices made over the next few weeks are, quite frankly, a matter of life and death.
44. That's exactly how many days are left in this monsoon season. Just 1 month and 14 days. Now, normally, a month and a half might fly by, but in the world of disaster risk and emergency response, 44 days is an absolute eternity. It is a ticking clock. Every single day in this window carries the very real threat of massive environmental shifts. So we're not just passively counting down to the end of the rain here. This is a hypercritical timeframe where the risk of an actual catastrophe is at its absolute peak. It demands our complete, undivided attention.
And that extreme urgency brings us to this powerful statement. Nepal must now enter a countdown phase for disaster management. That's a direct quote from Dr. Dharma Raj Upreti over at the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, the very people leading the charge on this. Notice his exact words there, a countdown phase. They aren't just sitting back waiting for autumn. This is a huge call to action. It's a complete shift from general, everyday seasonal awareness to a hyper-focused, day-to-day emergency footing. They're sounding the alarm because the patterns they're tracking right now are, well, they're deeply concerning. Section 1, the rainfall paradox. Let's look at this dangerous deficit. Okay, so we're deep into the monsoon season, right? But get this, Nepal has only recorded 55% of its average rainfall so far, barely over half. Now, your first thought is probably, hey, if we've only had 55% of the rain, the disaster risk should be pretty low, shouldn't it? But that is the exact paradox we're facing. Even though we've only hit that 55% mark of the historical average, the danger levels and the warnings from officials are flashing bright red. Why? Because the problem isn't the total volume of rain falling over the whole season. The real problem is how, where, and when that rain is coming down right this second. You see, the rainfall we're getting is violently uneven, mostly driven by El Niño effects. Up in the mid-hills, they aren't getting a gentle, steady monsoon soak. No, they're getting hammered by these destructive, localized burst rains. These are sudden, highly concentrated downpours that are instantly triggering severe landslides and literally tearing the earth away. But then you look down at the southern plains, the Madhesh region, and they are facing severe rainfall deficits. The farm fields there are bone dry. It's just a stunning contrast. You've got flooded, landslide-ravaged hillsides in one region and a desperate lack of water for farming in another. So that 55% average, it's completely hiding a massive, destructive regional imbalance. Which brings us to Section 2, looming heavy rain threats. Because the weather certainly isn't static, let's break down exactly what the immediate forecast looks like. Over the next 3 days, heavy rainfall is officially expected. The highest risk zones highlighted by authorities are Western Nepal, and ironically, that Madhesh region we literally just talked about, the one currently facing severe dry deficits. So we're looking at a sudden, intense flood of water hitting totally parched regions, alongside those ongoing threats out west. But here is the real wild card, the Indian Ocean dipole. If this massive climate phenomenon turns positive, it completely flips the timeline. The major threat there is that the rains won't stop when the calendar says they should. A positive Indian Ocean dipole could drag these heavy rains all the way into the festival season, pushing the disaster window way, way beyond our current 44-day countdown. Moving on to Section 3, stopping the bulldozer effect, preventing landslides. So climate is obviously a huge factor, but it's only half the equation here. The NDRRMA is aggressively pushing a super urgent 2-step intervention plan. Step 1 is totally data-driven. They need to develop an integrated information system. Basically, they need rapid, real-time data to warn people the second those localized burst rains start forming. But Step 2? That is entirely about physical, human action. They are practically begging local authorities to curb haphazard bulldozer road construction. It's this fascinating yet utterly terrifying intersection of climate and human infrastructure. Because right now, we are actively making the landscape so much more vulnerable to the exact same rains we are desperately trying to survive. The core message they're pushing is crystal clear. Unplanned hillside excavations must be avoided. Think about it. When you combine those super unpredictable, heavy burst rains in the mid-hills with unchecked bulldozer road construction, you are essentially building a trap.
These haphazard excavations totally destabilize the hillsides. They completely strip away the Earth's natural defenses. So when those El Niño-driven rains suddenly drop massive amounts of water in a short window, those freshly bulldozed, totally unplanned slopes just give way. And that triggers catastrophic yet entirely preventable landslides. So the disaster isn't just falling from the sky. We are literally carving the path for it right into the hillsides.
And that brings us to the ultimate question this explainer leaves us with. We know exactly what the risks are. We know the weather is getting more uneven and volatile by the day. And we know exactly which human activities are triggering the absolute worst of these landslides. With the clock ticking down and just 44 days left, the real question is, can local authorities actually cut through the red tape and halt these dangerous hillside excavations before the next big localized burst rain hits? It is a literal race against time between urgent human intervention and a completely unpredictable climate. Keep a close eye on those heavy rain forecasts over the next 3 days, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.